This is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, meeting of the Berlin Board of Health. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. My name is Paul McKelk. I'm chair of the Board of Health, and I'm going to do a roll call for the Board of Health members. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Sue Regera.
I am here.
Bob Wheeler.
Here.
Okay, I'm going to move on to staff, which would be Bill Brookings.
Present.
And Leanne Leahy.
I'm here.
Do we have any anticipated speakers on the agenda? None that I am aware of. But...
I've got 4. I don't know if they've logged on yet or if they will be, but I have potentially 4.
Okay.
Bill, I see a Ron Patty.
Ron Patty, yep.
A Chris, no last name, and Andrew Gaduco.
Yep.
And
yep.
someone by phone, which is just a phone number, so they're
Yep.
not identified.
It's probably the 4 that I'm aware of, and I thought, once the meeting gets started, in the interest of time, we could address the topics on the agenda that involve those people just to get them done, and then we can move on to the other stuff.
Okay, I'll
That's
just
a
need you to let me know when to unmute their microphone or whatever, so that they can speak.
Yeah, once the board's ready, I'll just go through, I've got my list. I'm going to just stick to my list so I can keep track of what we've done and what's to come.
Okay. All right, with a quorum of the Board of Health present, I call this meeting to order at 10:05, April 23rd, 2020. This open meeting of the Berlin Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Berlin website at www.townofberlin.com. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, provided reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. While no in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. The standard public comment portion of this meeting will accommodate limited public comment. For this meeting, the Berlin Board of Health is convening using the Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, identifying how the public may join. Meeting materials. The public is encouraged to follow along during this meeting using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Supporting materials that are available this evening or this morning to members of the Board of Health can be made available to the public by request. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to assure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite each council member, each board member by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Board members and speakers on the agenda, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with each other, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. Public comment portion of the agenda. To the extent that our technical capability allows, public comment will be permitted during the public comment portion of this meeting as follows. Attendees' phones and other devices will be muted unless and until they raise their hand and are recognized by me to speak. I ask each member of the public who wishes to speak to identify their name, and I will afford each speaker time to ask a question or make a brief comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Unless there are any questions, we will be moving on to the agenda. And the first item on the agenda I have is 104 Crosby Road, temporary occupancy.
Yeah, if we could ask if there's someone, probably Chris, to discuss that.
Yep, Chris just raised his hand. Do you want me to move him up as a panelist so you can see him, or just unmute him?
I say panelist, maybe, right?
All right, I'm promoting him to panelist.
Sure.
I've just unmuted your mic, Chris.
See if we can get the camera going here. There we go.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Good
Good
morning.
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 Chris and Heather Davis, property owners at 104 Crosby. We talked to you last October when we were first granted the temporary occupancy permit. We'd reached out to Billy probably the end of March, beginning of right before everything started happening, about an extension on the permit. We are still in the middle of the legal proceedings that are tying up this property right now. We're still waiting. At this point, we do not have a copy of the installer's as-built, which is holding up permanent occupancy. Based off of discussions with the attorney and where this is headed, doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon. We have another meeting this afternoon, but in all likelihood, this demand letter is going to lead to litigation, which in our attorney's opinion is going to take a good number of months, if not years. So we're coming before the board today to ask for an extension of the temporary occupancy permit that you granted in October.
If I could speak, it looks like the building inspector supplied us with the temporary occupancy information, which was 180 days initially, and then 30-day extensions beyond that. So I guess we're here to discuss visiting that every 30 days, or as Sue and I had spoken about, possibly a much longer window, respecting that date is kind of a time to revisit it.
Yes, I'd like to propose a 6-month extension. Because we have a lot going on right now. And this would help ease that, having to do that every 30 days. Thoughts, board?
I have no problem with that, and I would, if that is in the form of a motion, I would second it. Motion made by Sue Regera to provide a 6-month window temporary occupancy until this situation gets revisited again. Any other comments or discussion?
The initial 180, I think, took us to, and Chris and Heather, you can let me know if this is wrong. I think it took us to April 1st of 20. So that 6 months would take us to October 1st of 20. So we would revisit this the first meeting in the month of October.
Yep, that sounds great. It was
Okay.
April 8th, but I
April 8th.
April
don't
8th,
know if it
okay.
needs to
That's
be
fine.
exact or not, but yeah, no, that
Yep.
would be fantastic.
Okay. We will, I'll email Richard Hanks next time I'm in the office just to let him know that was the decision, and we'll talk in October, if not sooner.
Wait a minute, we have
Oh.
to vote.
Oh,
Yep, I was just gonna.
Yeah.
All in favor of this motion, please say aye. I'm gonna read names and please respond to your wishes. Sue Regera,
Aye.
Bob Wheeler,
Aye.
myself, Paul McKell, who's also an aye. So the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your
And
time
we'll
this
be
morning.
seeing you in the fall.
We'll see you in the
See you
fall.
soon.
Stay safe,
Stay safe,
everyone.
everyone.
Take care.
You too.
bye.
All right, the next item on the agenda is NRP River Road, and those are the apartment. It is the apartment complex on the old Reese property. Something there, Bill.
Well, that was just kind of an FYI. I assume the other board members are aware of what's transpired out there and what is continuing to happen as far as the NRP inspector reporting to the board and the third-party inspector reporting to the board, just to make sure that they're following Governor Baker's protocol for construction sites.
I did get a daily report from the third-party inspector, and in yesterday's, it was included that 4 workers had been sent home or thrown off the job for not wearing proper PPE. That's the first time I've seen that, and excuse me, it's encouraging that somebody is enforcing it. And in reality, that is a big project, and enforcing and chasing all those workers, in my mind, is a little bit like herding cats. So it's a difficult thing. I'm sure there's some situations where a worker falls through the cracks without PPE, but things have definitely improved since we shut them down several weeks ago, and they've been making from what I can tell, a pretty earnest attempt to hold up their half of the bargain.
Good.
Questions, comments?
Well, it's good to hear that they're following through. I think that's very important.
And I saw the reports they've been sending regular, Paul.
Yeah, sometime next day or two, possibly tomorrow or early next week, I'll be going down there to do something of a surprise inspection first thing in the morning, because one day I did go there, and the secondary gate where a lot of the workers come in, virtually everybody I saw was certainly wearing a mask, but not everybody went directly to the nurse's station for their temperature testing. They may have circled back, I don't know, but that's one of the things I want to explore down there with the job super.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I think they're supposed to hit that first before entering the site, because if they fail their test or their temp, they're not going in.
Yeah, they shouldn't be on the
Right.
site with other workers if
Correct.
they fail their temp, so. Okay, anything else with NRP? Questions?
Nope.
20 Whitney Road, number of bedrooms.
Yeah, this would be Andrew, I think, is participating.
Okay, I will move him up to panelist. Sue, do you know your screen sharing?
Yes, because I'm trying to bring up his document.
Andrew, you've been unmuted, but I'll need you to start your own video in order for the board to see you.
Hey, good morning, board. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Awesome. First of all, I hope everyone's doing well in these chaotic, unprecedented times. Thank you for taking my call today. I appreciate it. Bill, it's finally good to put a name with a face. I know we've been kind of going back and
Yes,
forth for a few months now, so it's good to
Very
finally
true.
see.
you
Yeah,
didn't
so
think this day was gonna come, did you?
yeah, I know I didn't. I don't know. I feel like I'm in purgatory right now. Anyways, you know, it's kind of crazy the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I won't take too much time. I just want to see. So my name's Andrew Gaduco. I live at 20 Whitney Road, and I want to see if I can legally call my house a 3-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom. I know there's a lot of gray area when it comes to septic requirements. So I just wanted to hear kind of the board's thoughts and experience in the town of Berlin. What is like the typical septic system design for maybe a 3-bedroom? You know, what is a typical gallon for the tank, and typically how big is the soil absorption field?
I guess I'll start by saying we do not have an existing septic system permit that I can find at my office or the Berlin office for this property. So we don't have a number of bedrooms. You know, that's law. If there's a septic permit on record, that's the number of bedrooms you have. So then we jump to other sources of information. The assessors has this listed as a 2-bedroom, and the Title V inspection report that was done, let's see, that was done in 2013, calls it a 2. So there's some information on file that call it a 2. Andrew has submitted some information on the room layout, and I think perhaps a real estate listing. You know, everything I've read seems to show that it's a 2-bedroom house that might want to be a 3-bedroom, but you know, it seems to be a 2-bedroom as it sits. As the sketch that's on the screen now, you can see 2 bedrooms highlighted with a den as a potential 3rd. And when I look at the real estate listing, I don't know if that's part of something that can be shared on the screen. You know, it lists it says the property could easily be a 3-bedroom. Subject property does have a 3-bedroom septic system. I don't know where that information came from. We have absolutely no record of a 3-bedroom flow on this property. So, you know, I view this, and again, the board can discuss, I view this as an existing 2-bedroom home that if it was to become a 3-bedroom home would involve some investigation of the existing system, possibly a septic tank upgrade and soil testing to show what that existing leach area can handle for flow. Because to increase bedrooms, again, you treat it as new construction under the state code.
so to move, let me try and paraphrase that for my own sake and everyone else's. In order for this to become a 3-bedroom, the type of investigation that's going to have to happen is finding the tank, determining the size, and getting a general grasp on the size of whatever leach field or leach pit is associated with it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do have some information. It looks like the tank is, let me just find that page. The tank is either it looks like the tank's probably a 1250 with 1,000 square foot leach bed, but without a perk test on the property, we can't gauge the flow. That area is generally sandy. If the site has a 2-minute perk, that bed is more than adequate for 3 bedrooms. The key to this decision is if the board respects this house as an existing 2-bedroom going to a 3-bedroom, then we need to make sure that system meets current code because we're increasing flow. If the board looks at this layout and says this is an existing 3-bedroom home, then it would kind of exist as a 3-bedroom without the additional work.
So you were saying that by looking at these plans, you would be looking to make that determination?
Well, again, I think everything that's been submitted, it seems to indicate a two-bedroom. This plan we're looking at shows two bedrooms highlighted. It has a den highlighted and I guess could be potentially a third bedroom. And that's the decision that we're looking at. What's the accepted design flow on this property? If it's two bedrooms going to three, we're looking at probably a new tank and some soil testing. If the board looks at this layout and says, well, yeah, I guess we could live with an existing three, then it would, stay as is. But again, what we have previously is the assessor's card saying two bedrooms and the Title V inspection on record saying two bedrooms, which again aren't as solid as a permit. But again, that number two does show up on a couple of our documents.
We have, may I speak, Chairman?
Go ahead, Bob.
We have no septic design, Billy, on record.
I have not been able to find anything at my office or at the Berlin office. If we had a plan or a permit, this discussion would be very simple.
Right. How old is the property?
The system itself,
Yeah, but basically the home or the system, yeah.
let me take a look.
1986, Bill. The system was put in.
86. Yeah, it's odd that we don't have, I mean, the 80s are fuzzy, 70s, 60s are tough, 90s plus, we usually have something on record. 80s, I guess, is hit or miss, but again, I was unable to find anything on record.
Does the homeowner have a as-built of the
Well, you're
system?
speaking to the homeowner, Andrew.
Yes, Andrew?
So yeah, what I have on files is the Title V. It says the system was put in 1986. The tank size is 1,250 gallons, and then the leach field is 20 by 50 feet. That's what I have on record from the Title V done in 2013.
Do you have a plan? Excuse me.
No, I don't.
When
Okay.
was the Title V done?
2013.
Well, personally, I'm not comfortable to be let this driven by realtor information and or assessor information for that matter without some level of further investigation. You think a perk test bill would shed any necessary light on this situation?
Well, it would allow us to mathematically calculate what the bed could handle. Because again, that's an equation that it's simple. You take the square footage, you multiply it by a loading rate, which is determined by a perk test rate, and that gives you a number. And that tells you how many gallons per day that system is good for.
When I look at this drawing, it looks like the second bedroom was probably put over the garage. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it looks like the house was originally a two-bedroom house. They added the garage or that third bedroom over the garage and kind of just had a three-bedroom house. Now, when that was done, I don't know, but I don't know if that changes anything. I just assume that it's been a three-bedroom for a while.
It may be the case, but again, we have no information of the system being looked at for the addition of that third bedroom. So it may have occurred, but without the town's official knowledge. I don't know if the building inspector's file shows anything on timelines or if there are any permits pulled, to do that.
Andrew, is this a house that you're buying or selling?
No, I neither.
Oh, okay. What's the third option?
Rent it out as a three-bedroom versus a two-bedroom.
So you currently own it and you want to rent it?
Well, I currently do rent it right now, but my tenants might be leaving. I want to look to see if I can rent it as a three-bedroom and then add a bathroom just to add some value to it. And then one day down the road, possibly looking to selling it as a three-bedroom versus a two-bedroom.
Then maybe we should have that perk test. just to be sure.
Well, if we're viewing it as an increase in flow, it would be an all or nothing. So if we're going that route, it would be a septic tank upgrade to 1,500 gallons, and it would be soil testing to prove groundwater offset and perk rate, and also prove a reserve area. So when we're on site, we do adequate testing for all of those items.
Chairman, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
If it's an in-law over the garage building, would it need that separate tank?
Technically, yes, that's how the board has always viewed separate units. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how the plumbing works with a detached right now, but it's certainly something we could look at.
Well, I appreciate the owner's candor in terms of what his plans are, or what his goals are. And as such, I do think that the board needs to follow through with a perk test to verify what the leach field can handle, and in all likelihood, upgrade the tank to a 1,500 to try and make this as clean a 3-bedroom as you can in this community. I don't think we should be dealing much in gray areas here. Any other thoughts, comments?
I think that sounds like a sound plan.
I just have one question. What's the typical 3-bedroom? Is it a 1,500 gallon septic tank? Is that kind of what the kind of requirement is for a 3-bedroom, or what you
As
guys?
of 1995, when Title V was revised, from 1978 to 1995, a 1,000 gallon tank was the minimum size. In 1995, 1,500 became the minimum. So any work being done after 1995, either new construction, upgrades, or increases in flow require the 1,500. In addition, because this is a detached unit, if this came through the board before it happened, they would require either a second tank to be installed to handle that unit, or a 2-compartment tank. So that's something we would look at as you move forward. If you choose to go that route, we would see if the plumbing would work to tie the house and the detached unit into a 2-compartment tank. You could get away with 1 septic tank versus 2.
Well, I'm not sure it's actually a detached unit. I think it's just built upstairs over the garage.
Yeah, it's just built
Oh,
upstairs.
okay. All right. The way it was shown, I didn't know if it was detached, but that's just a second level above the garage. Got it.
Right.
Yep. But again, if
Oh, I see.
is it Andrew? Is it rented as 2 units, or is that just
No,
a
no,
bedroom over the
it's just
garage?
no, it's just a bedroom over the garage.
Oh, got it. So we're not talking about a
No.
separate unit. Okay.
Is the garage attached to the house?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, Andrew, you stated earlier that your intent is to rent it as a 3-bedroom, correct?
Yeah, if my current tenants leave, yes.
Yes,
then
all right. Okay. So I think that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at an attached secondary unit, in-law, whatever you want to call it. So in those terms, it's a straightforward single family, but I still feel we need to do some research on the system, and most likely an upgrade on the tank if we're going to go to 3 bedrooms. First thing, Bill, would be to ascertain the capacity of the leach field, correct?
Yeah, I was going to direct Andrew, if that's the board's decision, and if he chooses to move forward with that procedure, to contact me separately regarding, soil testing and ultimately, if it went that route, a septic tank replacement permit.
Okay,
May I speak, Chairman?
sure. Go ahead, Bob.
Andrew, if you could come up somewhere with the original septic plan. I don't know where, it could have been in the real estate, but a septic plan would be greatly help also.
Okay.
The original septic plan might have came with house plans or whatever, that might help us also.
I can reach out to the original owner. He was still my neighbor, Reese's. I can ask him if he has it.
Yeah,
What
Bob, you're correct, Bob. If there was if the existing permit could be found or existing design plan could be found and it said 3, then you'd have a 3-bedroom system without any of this additional work.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is we don't have that document to refer to.
Well, seems like anything moving forward at this point would be between Andrew and Bill. I don't think the board has anything specifically to vote on here. It's a question of what Andrew wants to do with the property, and he can work out testing and exploration with Bill.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Andrew.
you.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, you could just leave a message for me at that air number if you want to move forward, and I can give you a call and go through the steps.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.
Okay, the next agenda item would be groundwater season.
Which is almost come and gone, but I did have one builder ask me, he's not pursuing that property. But again, I just assumed it would be March, April as the regs state, nothing outside of the window of time.
No change there. And as in the past, we continue with soil modeling until we adjust our regulations. So
Yep.
Nothing really changes there right now.
Nope.
Okay, 132 Ball Hill Road, proposed greenhouse.
Yeah, and that would be Ron Patty, Leanne, if we can. bring-
Okay, I'll move Ron up to panelist. Ron, I've unmuted you. We can hear you, but you'll need to start your own video.
There he is. Hey, Ron. We can't hear you.
Okay.
You should be able to hear me. My microphone is on full.
You're up now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Bill. Thank you for taking this issue, but I'll let you start off, Bill.
Well, I was going to say, Sue, this hopefully is some information we can pull up on the screen. It shows the construction of the greenhouse and also shows 3 potential locations of the, or actually maybe 4 potential locations versus the leach bed.
I will try. Just bear with me for a minute, guys. There are lots of documents up here. Septic plans, is that it?
No, that is, that's lot 2 Linden Street for Nocella and Sawyer. That will be coming up. That's the continued hearing. That's 84 West Street, a well variance request. That's coming up also.
That's the one we just discussed. I'm gonna have to go back and look. So I will stop sharing for a moment. Maybe Ron can fill us in while I find it.
Okay. So my wife and I purchased a greenhouse kit. It's a roughly 19 by 13 in size. And the ideal location for us would be in the area where our leaching field is currently sitting. It gets a lot of sun. And I understand that this is not considered a permanent structure. However, we would like to put a 1 foot wide perimeter cement base around in that area so that we can attach the greenhouse to the cement base. So basically, I have pictures that you're trying to pull up. It's picture a 1 foot wide cement path in a rectangle, and it's roughly 10 inches deep. And that would allow us to assemble the greenhouse kit on top of it so that we have a nice flat surface, and also kind of help and aid in any kind of wind issues we might have with the structure being blown away. So we prefer to put it in location number 1 that I supplied to Bill. There's
Ron,
a,
can I just jump in real quick? What we're viewing now is that 1 foot wide, if the board could take a look. It's not a cement pad, if you will, beneath the entire structure, just a 1 foot perimeter around the
For the
greenhouse.
footing to go on, right?
Yep.
yeah,
That's the type of construction we're talking about.
Would that be dug into the top of the system?
yeah. Well, to be honest, it's 10 inches at the height of where the system is, but then it kind of slopes down, so it's almost sitting like 2 inches down. If you can picture the septic leaching field has a slope to it, so we've measured it out, and it's really going to be sticking up down the long end, and where the door is, it's going to be flush, so that would be like 9. Well, I have it up actually 3 inches, so I figure the most digging that will be done is like 6 inches at the high end, and almost nothing at the low end.
Yeah, and I don't know, Ron, I don't know if you've had a chance, but we'd need to know the depth of cover over the system. There should be 9 to 12 inches of,
It's over a foot.
oh, it is over a foot. That's good news.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't cause, I should not be touching any pipes, and I won't be touching any
Hmm.
pipes. I guess most of the issue would be the additional weight. Could it cause a collapse? And I would imagine if it did, then I would be responsible for fixing that, but.
I did something similar when I built my greenhouse, and mine's 12 by 16. But I did just crushed rock before, for the footings to sit on.
Yeah,
And I didn't use the kit, but I built almost exactly that myself. And that's been up since 2003, and I've had absolutely no issues. And when it rains and I'm on a slope, it drains down through the crushed rock. So I don't
Okay.
end up with puddles inside or stuff washing away.
Chairman, may I speak?
Go ahead, Bob.
Will this be poured concrete, Ron, or is this blocks?
it is a poured, I would like it to be poured and level, square, poured and level. And the actual base of the greenhouse kit sits in the very center of the 1 foot wide pad.
You'll be adding any rebar or rewire to this?
I have asked that there be some rebar, especially in the corners.
Billy? Oops,
Yeah.
excuse me.
I'm concerned about air and wind on this structure because the panes are not polycarbonate, they're going to be glass.
Chairman,
Yes.
where would your vent be in proposed to this? You couldn't have the vent inside there, I do not think, but.
So no, the venting is outside of this area, and is, by the way, there was no venting required for this field. I think that Bill can concur with that.
Correct. Yeah, there's no vent because it's a gravity system and it's less than 50 feet long. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Now, is this proposed location squarely over the leach field? Is it centered? Is it off-centered? Can you tell us?
Due to that, the additional, there are 4 proposed locations. I don't know if they're attached to this pad sketch. Yeah, there you go. So you can scroll. There are 4 different locations. Maybe the board could take a peek at each of them before and then discuss.
Yeah, let me discuss this one picture first, because this is actually the orientation that we would like. However, I would like it to be moved down so it's actually closer to where, in line to where the tank is. So in theory, it's kind of centered around the whole field, but more towards the back end, to the left. So down a little bit and to the left a little bit from that picture that you see is where we really want to put it.
Okay,
And that just basically represents, you know, the width, you know, the 1 foot wide pad, basically. Yeah, we thought about straddling it, but I would be more concerned with that if there was offset weight. I think it's better if it's kind of centered.
Yeah.
question for you, Bill. I haven't experienced a situation where someone's wanted to put any type of a structure over a leach field. Have you experienced that in the town of Berlin?
No, I don't think I've experienced it in any town that I work in. So again, it's new to me too. Ron, what would the floor be? You know, if there's that ring pad, what would the actual floor be of the greenhouse?
The intent is gravel on the floor with some tiles for walking in an area. So basically, we would allow the field to breathe, and all those in the inside or wherever. So, you know, we're not planning on actually planting plants in the ground in that greenhouse. They will be basically either in pots or, I don't know if you people have seen the grow towers. We would like to put a couple of, at least one grow tower in there for growing. But so no plants are actually being grown in the ground. They would either be in a pot or, like I said, in a grow tower or some kind of bench.
Ron, just make sure you plan for a really big fan in there because
Yes.
those greenhouses will heat up in short of a half hour.
You know, so we're green to greenhouses, if I can use that term. And you're exactly right. So it has 6 skylights. It has 4 louvered side windows and a big 8-foot door. And we're putting 2 of the louvered down one end so that you would get cross breeze. But yes, it has plenty of windows. And I was thinking maybe 2 or 3 fans.
Yeah, you need something that's gonna suck that heat right out of there.
It's warm, yeah.
Yep.
That's the hope.
I know it's the whole idea, but I can't tell you how many plants I have fried in there because I didn't run and open the door by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yes.
Where it's
We've
65
looked at ways-
outside and it's 92 inside.
Yeah, it comes with a shade screen that you can slide across,
Okay.
and it on the south side. And we're aware of the heat issue, so that's why we definitely know we need fans to blow that around.
Some thermostatically controlled fans might be beneficial.
Yeah, 2 of the actual skylights are on thermostats as well.
Okay.
I'm concerned
Go ahead, Sue.
he has a septic issue. Ron's, you know, it's a glass greenhouse. Ron's got to be willing if he has a septic or leach bed issue, which I don't know how often that happens, that he would have to move the greenhouse off that pad.
Yep, that's acceptable. If something should happen to this monster leaching field that's fairly new, then we understand that we would have to take the responsibility of moving it. And because it's a kit, it can actually be taken apart, which is kind of good. And then we would have to fix any issue that would arise.
Well, the only permanent thing I see, Ron, it's sort of permanent, is the poured concrete. Would make it a kind of a permanent, and it would infiltrate the top of the bed a little. So I don't know what Bill's thoughts are on that, or
Well, based on Ron's description, if the bed's greater than a foot deep and the concrete's a max 6 inches deep, you're gonna have, it sounds like at least a 6-inch buffer between the bottom of the concrete and the top of
Yeah.
stone of the bed. I don't know what the total weight of the greenhouse is. I mean, you know, it's a 2015 system, so, you know, the piping in the bed should be able to handle what they consider H20 loading, which would be a vehicle. So I doubt the greenhouse weighs as much as a vehicle.
Terrific. Nope, that's great.
Thanks, Bob.
Will there be, you won't have any nutrient loading really on top of it? It'll just be watering and stuff, you know, you know,
I don't kind of understand the question. You mean like chemicals or something going into
Yeah.
the ground there? I don't expect that. No.
okay,
Yeah, I don't expect that.
okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, I think the key to consider is whether or not the board considers that 1 foot wide pad or ring, if you will. You know, if you treat it as a full-blown slab, then you'd have a 10-foot offset to the leach bed. If you consider it a non-permanent slab, you know, just that 1 foot wide ring, then, you know, there's really no offset in the code to something like that. Similar to sonotubes, it's kind of a common sense approach. You know, if it was a full slab, the full bottom of the greenhouse, then it would have to be 10 feet from the bed, which it's not.
Yeah, full slab would not be acceptable in this
Correct.
particular case.
Yep.
Where we're talking a fairly minimum perimeter type footing foundation. Strikes me that could be pretty easily removed if necessary.
Mhm.
And as Ron said, the greenhouse is a kit itself. I'm just wondering if somewhere, somehow, we just need some official verbiage from Ron that he understands the downside should something need to be done with the leach field. You said you're willing to take on that risk. I just want to protect the town, a future owner, or whatever, to make sure that things are copacetic.
Yeah, I discussed that with Bill, and Bill informed me that we would be liable for any, I don't know, any issues with the system functioning properly. And we accept that, and whatever you need me to do, maybe there's something like, if you guys send a letter saying that you reviewed it, and with the understanding that any issues would be, have to be addressed by the owner.
We can do that, and I would also cross-reference it with the building inspector, because I'm presuming you need a building permit to put this thing up.
For kits, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No,
But you should check with them, because when
Oh,
I
I
built
can-
mine, it was with the old building inspector, so.
What's the name of the new building inspector?
Richard Hanks.
Richard. Okay,
What was the size of it, Ron?
13 by 19.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's minimal. Yep.
Okay, well, we can, the board can, we'll work with Bill, put together a letter relative to your responsibility relative to this going on the leach field. I would advise checking with the building inspector just to cover your backside. Other than that, I don't really have any issues.
I don't either.
I'm all set with it, Ron.
Bill, any last comments?
Nope, no, that sounds like a plan.
Okay. I guess you're all set, Ron.
well, thank you very much for hearing this out, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Okay, moving right along.
I don't know if we have one more person that's much further along in the agenda. Maybe we could jump to,
I show, excuse me, I show two participants. One is by phone, so I don't have a name. And then
Yep.
someone else joined a little more recently, and the only name I have is Dave. There's no last name.
Well, again, the variance continuance for Lot 2 Linden Street, I'm guessing might be the phone participant. I don't
I
know
can,
about
I
Dave.
can unmute the phone caller and ask them to identify themselves.
Sure, that sounds
Yes,
good.
please
Okay.
do.
I'm allowing 978-771-8743 is now unmuted, if you want to ask them. to
Hi.
identify.
Hello.
Hi, it's Donna Trailer.
Hi,
Uh,
Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Hi,
Hi,
Donna.
how are you?
Hi,
Yeah,
Donna.
I'm not the participant. I'm just listening in. So,
All right, I'm gonna mute her then. Bye, Donna.
bye.
Good to hear you. All right, and the other participant is a Dave, and that's by video chat. I don't know if you want me to unmute him to identify himself or just have me move him up to panelist.
Well, let's find out what he wants.
Yeah,
All right, I am unmuting. Dave has been unmuted.
Hi, this is Dave Curran.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
And I've got the request for variance on a new well siting.
Okay, Sue, this is the 84 West Street. I don't know if we can pull up that plan and letter from Dave Ross Associates.
Okay, I will move him up to panelist.
Yep.
Hello there.
We can't see you, Dave.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Oh, did I move up the wrong one? Hang on.
No,
This is my first time by myself trying to access Zoom. My
I know.
wife is taking a shower, so she's the technical expert on this. So I'm not sure if I can make myself visible.
That's okay. We know
No,
who
it's
you are.
okay. As long as Sue can find the plan, we can.
I don't look that great anyway.
no, that's the wrong plan, Sue.
Oh, well, when Bill sent out the request yesterday to all of his friends, I got inundated with drawings.
That looks,
Yeah, there it is.
that looks like it.
That looks like the plan. So if you'd like, I can go through Ross's list. Again, this is a well variance, so it doesn't require a hearing. And Dave, you can fill in blanks if I miss anything. You can see the existing well is actually off the property near the Commonwealth of Mass notation on the plan. And Dave, you can chime in. Is it a point well, I guess? You want to upgrade to a drilled well, is that correct? Oh, that looks much better.
Yeah, we did an old original point well. This property was established in 1925, and the point well was put in sometime around there. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, we had to redo it because the pipe had corroded. And we put it back in its original place, which is on, right now it's on the state's Suasco wetland land. So that was carved out of this original plot, originally owned by Marion Hale family. So that's why that was there. But it's barely adequate. It still produces a lot of sediment. There's a filter that you have to manually change down the basement every few months. And, if somehow I wasn't able to do that, my wife would be able to. It's not easy to do. So that's why we're looking into a deep well at this point, finally.
So if you'd like, I can go through the offsets being requested. This is a letter from Stephen Sears from Dave Ross Associates. The first is this area is sandy soil, more than likely a 2-inch perk, which the town has the 150-foot offset between well and septic. As this plan shows, 108 feet between the proposed well and the existing leach pit. And across the street at 91 West, we've got 138 feet to that leach trench system. So again, meets the Title V 100, but does not meet the town's 115 2-minute soils. The next one is, again, local reg, well to septic tank, when it's 2-minute soils is 100 feet, they're showing 92. And then we've got a 30-foot offset to a property line versus 50. And 50 feet to a public way out front, they're asking for 19. That's the property line, not edge of pavement, so there's a buffer there between the actual road itself. And lastly, there's a wetland to the left. You can see 50 feet to that wetland. And again, the local regs say 100. So those are the variances being requested for the placement of that drilled well.
It sounds to me like this is just a really an approach for a total upgrade on water quality and water supply to an existing resident.
Correct.
We have all the footage requirements and all that, but this is, in my mind, it's pre-existing, and I frankly don't have any trouble with this.
I don't. It'll be a drilled well, Dave?
Yes, it will. Yes.
So
I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested well variances.
I second it. Robert
All
Wheeler.
in favor, and we'll do a roll call. Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
Aye.
Paul, aye. And we jumped the gun a little bit. Should have asked Bill if he had any final
Yeah.
thoughts.
I've talked to Dave on the phone. Again, because the well is less than 100 feet to the wetland, he will need Conservation Commission approval prior to drilling. And even though that point well's on a different property, it really, again, would need to be destroyed per local regs. So those will be conditions of the well permit once we get an application and fee from a licensed well driller.
I spoke to Walter Bickford yesterday, and he's coming over sometime soon to
Good.
inspect the siting and
Yep.
make his own assessment about that.
All right.
I hopefully wouldn't anticipate any issues there. Like I said, this is moving in the direction of an upgrade and should be allowed.
It's
Okay.
pre-existing.
Great, thanks.
Okay.
Right.
Have a good day.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Okay, next item, 132 Pleasant Street, elevated sodium and well.
Yeah, I forget that homeowner's name. I had left that file in my...
Tom Sharon. I
Sharon,
think.
that's it. I can grab it, but I do have, he sent me the results, and he does have very high sodium, and he thinks it's, due to application by the town. And I think he had spoken to maybe DPW, and they really didn't think they could do much about that. So, I think I think it's a shallow well. I think it's near the road. So, it is going to be subject to anything that's happening on the ground surface. He just didn't know if there was anything the board could do as far as possibly having them maybe salt less in that area. But again, you run, it's public safety versus the well. And that's kind of, it's a tough
Right.
call.
Yeah, that would have to be a little conversation with both chiefs because of the public safety aspect.
So that might be a good direction to send him then. Yep.
And with shallow wells, we've seen this currently at a lot of them, correct, Bill?
Yeah, again, I don't want to say it's a shallow well for sure. Like I say, I forgot that file in my car, unfortunately. I know I spoke to Tom about what type of construction it is, but I can follow up with the board on that once I get that answer.
Okay, that'd be good.
And so he should speak to police and fire.
Or police and highway, maybe.
In DPW. Yeah, I know that the state has a well replacement program, but I think that's if your well is impacted by the sanding of a state road. So I don't know that that would be helpful in a town road situation.
Pleasant Street is where we had the sodium, I'll call it incident about 6 or 8 years ago.
High nitrates, yes.
Sorry, nitrates are they? Yes, excuse me.
Correct. Yep. All right, so I'll reach out to the owner and let him know that we've talked about it, and I'll confirm type of well. And
Yep,
send him in that
and,
direction.
You know, it would be great if the highway could reduce the amount of salt in that area, but public safety comes first because that's a well-traveled road.
Correct. Yep. All right.
All right, 247 Highland Street.
So this brings up the question of variance hearings for be it new or upgrade. You know, I guess we would still, you know, pick a meeting, you know, 2 meetings out in a time. And, you know, a variance hearing notice could be sent to owner and engineer. And I guess, you know, newspaper clippings, green cards, etc., could be emailed to Sue to be posted prior to opening the hearing. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, or they can drop it off in the Dropbox
Oh.
location at the entrance of the town building.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. So if that's the case, we would need to look ahead and see when meetings, you know, are planned on being held. And again, we don't need to do this right now during the meeting, but, you know, at some point over the next week or two, you know, we'll have to look ahead at the meeting schedule and, you know, decide how to notify these folks of date and time, et cetera.
Right.
So we're going to try to get into the routine, Bill, of posting it just like you would as you did in the past. We would post it on the bulletin board, and then we post it in My Town Government.
Okay.
So it's on the website for anybody to view.
So, yep. So
we
I'd
just
post
have
physically
to-
as I do, and I would slide it under Eloise's door, and she'd get it up on the town website. Yep.
That's correct. And we'll just be
Yeah.
holding it via Zoom instead of sitting across from each other.
And I think we should hold to our twice a month meetings.
Yes. I agree.
Pertaining to that one, Bill, is that a septic upgrade or?
It is. Yep. Yeah, it's Dennis Farabee bought that house just before the Bolton line on the right.
Oh. Yep.
Let's see in Dropbox. Okay, so should we look ahead? Are we going to stay with first and third Tuesdays, nighttime? I guess, again, we don't need to decide it now, but at some point the board may want to discuss what their meeting schedule will become for the future.
If I could just interrupt for a second, you'll just have to make a request to Mary Arata and myself, because we're juggling all the town has 2 separate accounts, one through the Board of Selectmen and one through the town administrator, in which case 2 meetings could be held at the same time, but that's it. So where everybody's trying to meet, it gets a little dicey, but as soon as you have meeting dates that you're interested in, if you get that to me, Mary and I, and then we'll look to see availability and see what we can book for you.
Okay.
Very good.
Off the top of my head, select board meets on Monday. Zoning board meets on Wednesdays once a month. Is that correct, I believe?
Correct. Yes.
So Tuesday, to me, still looks like a good
I know
option.
planning board meets on Tuesdays. I think it's just once a month. They've got one coming up in May. And FinCom's been meeting, but I believe they're Wednesday. But you know, you've got EDC, you've got all these boards and committees that are trying to meet, and then you've got monthly staff meeting, and you know, the TA's got all these meetings. So
We've been around longer. Leanne, we've been around longer. You know?
It's a pretty full calendar, but we try to accommodate.
All right,
as best
we'll
we can.
talk about that and get back to you and Mary.
Okay.
All right.
Poor Leanne, we're forcing her to listen to all this
I know.
septic stuff, you know?
Half listening.
Just like in the office, right, Leanne?
She's multitasking, yes. Okay, lots 1 and 2, Pollard Road.
Yeah, that I threw that on in case I had requests. That's the new road name of the West Street project that Facil's doing.
Oh,
Cul-de-sac before the tracks. And I do have lots 1 and 2. I've reviewed them. I've come up with a list of variances necessary. I've gotten that information from the engineer, but I do not have revised plans or variance letters back, so I don't have that to schedule. So that'll be bumped to next meeting.
Okay. How about we did a variance hearing, which we had to continue. That was back in early March, I believe.
Yep.
Yes.
That's coming up under permits. Yep.
Okay. I was jumping the gun, I guess.
Yeah, if Paul wants to just continue on that list, we can,
Yeah,
it's towards the tail end of permits. Yep.
let's just work it the way it's printed out. Okay, 39 Boylston Road, D box. This is under the general category of permits.
Yep. And this is a good time to discuss how the board would like to handle the physical signing of permits. Other towns I work in, once the board approves the permit at this Zoom meeting, then I've been given the authority to sign the permit for the board versus getting it physically to you and getting those 3 signatures on it. So depending on how the board would like to move forward, you know, we can discuss how these permits will be approved or signed, I guess.
Oh, we should probably do that first, no?
Yes. Since I never signed the permits anyways, I'm okay with Bill electronically signing them once we give our approval.
I'm all set with it, Bill.
Okay.
So am I, yeah, and, you know, I trust Bill that if there was something hinky involved or whatever, he would let us know, and, you know, we just
Yep.
proceed in a normal way that is least intrusive in this particular juncture of our lives. You know, if Bill's available to just sign and deal with it, perfect.
But Paul, the whole thing is that we have to approve it in a meeting before he can sign it.
Understood, understood.
Okay.
So
Correct.
do we vote on that, Sue?
I believe we should.
Yep,
I make-
I propose that we make a motion, or I make a motion, that we will Bill Brookings, once we have approved the signage of permits per our standard meeting, we will, Bill will sign in lieu of us.
I'll second that.
okay, call a roll call. Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
Aye.
Paul is an aye. So Bill does have the authority to sign these permits once we've looked at them and given our okay.
Yeah, and this D box is a result of a Title V inspection, which is on our list later on in the agenda. So again, a simple conditional pass. Caselli has replaced the D box, and we'll be working on a certificate of compliance.
Okay. 111 West Street.
Again, this is a distribution box replacement. Paul Wheeler's done that work. Again, I authorize them. They call me, get a verbal to do it, you know, while machines are on site. And again, this will be a Title V inspection to be discussed later on in the agenda.
Was that Lipka?
It is, yep,
Yeah.
across from the DPW, yep.
Now, should we be voting on each one of these? Or do you have more information to gather with them, Bill? Paperwork from installers or things like that?
Yeah, pretty much, you know, if I sign the permit, I'll be calling the installers, get their as-built, issue certificates of compliance, but, you know, each item would warrant discussion. You know, some of them are a little different than the others.
Okay.
That didn't answer the initial question. Are we supposed to be approving each one of these as we go? Or are we just going to do a blanket approval of all we have discussed when we get down to the bottom of the list?
That's up to the board. You know, normally I don't think you vote on a permit approval because you're signing them. So however you want to describe that approval, like a variance needs a true vote. I don't know that a permit actually does. It might be
Okay.
just, based on discussion, okay to sign, something like that.
Yeah, based on discussion and any notations that go on the permit relative to minor changes, so.
And have you inspected it, Bill? Or
39 Boylston and 111 West have both been installed and inspected, yes.
terrific.
Okay. So
All
we're,
right, 232 Gates Pond Road.
Yeah, this dates back to, believe it or not, the March 17th meeting that was the first one that we had canceled. Chuck Mills had asked for an extension on an upgrade permit for 232 Gates Pond Road. And at the meeting before March 17th, the board approved the extension. So this is just the actual permit. At the time, I had the extension request, but not the permit itself. So this is the actual permit that goes to August 4th of 2020, giving him that time. The system's already in. Now it's just a matter of getting the paperwork in order to get the certificate issued.
Okay,
Paul, you say go ahead and sign.
I would say go ahead and sign.
All right.
All set.
161 Lancaster Road.
This is again, a septic tank replacement triggered by, again, a Title V inspection that we'll be discussing later on in the agenda.
Okay. Lot 3, 253 River Road West, transfer of a permit.
Yes, that is, again, formerly owned by Rich Caselli. Charles Freeman, FBI Construction, has purchased the lots. So he is transferring the permits into his name. And actually, if we could look at the agenda, Lot 4, 257 West Street says permit transfer / extension. The extension is actually for the Lot 3 permit. He applied for the transfer, but is also asking for the additional year because the permit is set to expire. The 3 years that it would have would be November of 2020, this November. So, just as Lot 4 was bumped out that extra year to 2021, he's asking for the same on this lot, just to, give him time to get the houses built and everything signed off.
This Freeman, is he the realtor?
No, he's the, no, that's Rick. This is Charles. This is an actual builder.
Oh, okay.
Charles Freeman, FBI Construction, and he's out of Hudson.
All right.
Yep. And they've begun work on, I think it's Lot 4.
Yeah.
Because again, these permits are valid under Caselli. The work continued. Wells are in, wells are tested, but now this is a transfer into his name.
Okay, 237 Gates Pond Road.
That'll be bumped to next meeting. That's a pool house being proposed with a sewer line tying it to the existing system. It's one of those new houses that Craig Wambelt had built over there.
Oh, okay.
But again, I've issued the building permit for the pool house, but I don't have the application for the sewer line yet. Thought I might be by today, but do not have that.
122 Coburn Road, D-Box.
Yep, that is a D-Box, again, done by, triggered by a Title V inspection, and that has been done by Paul Wheeler and inspected. Yep.
What's the name on that, Billy?
That is Burrows. It's off a common drive that Billy Glenn did 4 or 5 houses off of years ago.
Yep, okay. And that looks good, Billy?
Yeah, it's all set. I inspected it, I think it was Tuesday, yep, with Paul.
Terrific. Okay.
Hey, Ken Chris Realty Trust, Highland Street.
Yeah, I do not have that. I will have that probably next meeting. That, if you know, is the 55 plus project that Mr. Slade had proposed. The leach bed has been installed. And the original plan showed one very large, or 2 tanks in series, 2 very large tanks in series, handling flow from 2 multi-unit buildings. Now the layout is a a bunch of detached units throughout the project on a loop. And this new plan shows sewer line in the street, sewer line manholes, houses tying into that main, and then going down to a common tank and pump chamber. So this permit reflects that change in the layout of the project.
All right, Lot 2, Linden Street.
Yeah, this will be the continuation of the hearing on the Larry Sawyer's daughter's lot, Caitlin Nocella. So this is a discussion of the sewer line length. And Sue, you might have the plan for that from Cornerstone Engineering?
I don't think so. I
No?
know we looked at it. Well, let me look.
Well, she's looking, you've reviewed this, right, Billy?
I have, yep.
Yeah, and it looks all set pretty much.
It does. In fact, I don't think the primary area even needs the variance. I think it's the reserve that does. So yeah, pretty
Yeah.
minor variance request.
Exactly.
All right, I found it. Hold, bear with me for a second. Come on.
Thank God we got this, Sue.
I was just patting myself on the back thinking I was doing so well.
You are.
Yeah, there it is.
You see it? And I will try to make it, oh, this one I can't make bigger.
Well, I can
I can see it.
Yeah, basically the primary area, when you take a look at the sewer line from house to tank and tank to D-box, is 95 feet, so that's just under the 100. As you can see, the reserve area is probably another 20 feet beyond the primary, so
Yep.
if and when that was ever installed, you'd be looking at maybe like 112 feet total. You know, it's barely over the 100, but it is over the 100. So that is the reason for that request. They wanted to move the house a little bit forward, which looks fine to me.
Yep. It looks great to me.
I'd
So
like
this would
to make
actually be a vote,
motion-
yeah, on the variance for
I'd
Rig
like
5.
to make a motion to approve the requested sewer length line variance.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
Aye.
Paul, aye, unanimous.
Okay, so I'll put the new revision date on the permit, and that will become the approved design plan.
Very good.
Okay, now we have some Title V inspection reports.
Oh, you know, Paul,
Yes.
I added, I talked to Sue about this, but it didn't make it on the list. I have one more D-box permit, if, I don't know if we can add that on.
Sure, yep.
It actually wasn't part of the Title V inspection. It was truly a collapsed distribution box, which really doesn't happen that often, but 52 Pleasant Street. Caselli applied for that, did the work, and again, I just looked at that. Again, I think it was this past Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
That's Mark Smith is the owner there.
Oh, that's right, yeah, he did have problems.
Yep, so that is it for permits. That brings us to Title V inspections.
Okay, first one would be 76 South Street.
Yeah, that is a straightforward pass.
111 West.
111 West, again, triggered the need for that D-box permit previously approved. Also needs a water test done on the well. I was about to draft a letter requesting that water test when Paul Wheeler, the inspector, asked me to draw that sample. So I'm actually going to be taking that sample tomorrow morning. So we'll get
Okay.
what we need without a letter.
Okay.
84 West Street.
84 West Street, if you recall, was the well variance that we had just
Dave
discussed.
Curran. Yep.
So again, that Title V came in needing a water test because the existing well was less than 100 feet to the system, but he's putting in a new well, so that's not needed. So that's a standalone pass, and obviously the well will be tested once it's installed.
Sure. Okay. 97 Pleasant Street.
Yeah, that Title V indicates the house has a water treatment unit that's discharging into the septic system, which is not allowed by Title V. So I've drafted a letter requiring that it be removed. So that's a letter that I could leave in the office, Paul. I'll let you know when it's there. You can come in and
Okay.
sign. I'll mail it out.
That works. 122 Coburn.
Again, that triggered the D-box permit that was previously approved, but other than that, the report's fine.
And 20 Woodward.
That is next to Gill's house, and it has a system out front. There are 2 wells within 100 feet of the system, Gill's being one of them, which tested fine. The other being the church, which has elevated nitrates. So, Paul and I had talked about this and got a letter, the typical letter drafted saying the board's reviewed the report and the water results and find them acceptable, just so they could move forward with their closing. That was actually, again, probably mid to late March when all this cancellation of meetings was occurring. So that's kind of an FYI to the board. That's been addressed.
The homeowners pass, Billy?
Their own well is greater than 100 feet away, so it did not have to be tested.
Oh,
Their well's up and back. They did a new well and a new system when that went home. That was the house that was empty.
yes.
Craig
Yeah,
Wambo rehabbed it. Yep.
Yep.
But again, I've got 3 others if you want to tack them on, just to keep moving forward. 20 Oak Street, that's a pass. 75 Coburn Road is a pass.
And 161 Lancaster
You
Road.
got it. So that triggered the septic tank permit we just approved. That report does need a water test on the well. It was not included in the report. I just got the report this morning by email, so I'll be contacting the owner and the inspector asking for that water test.
That was a septic tank, Billy, or a D-box?
At the Lancaster Road is a septic tank.
Okay.
It was leaking. Yep.
Yep.
And that's what I've got. I mean, there's a few items we can talk about, coming up for next meeting. If the board wants to just be aware, I did receive the upgrade plan for the library. So I'll be looking at that plan and talking to the engineer about creating a variance or request letter, because that will require some local variances. So we'll get that scheduled also.
Okay.
Yep.
You've been busy, Bill.
Well, it's been a couple months, Yes, it has been busy. Yep.
Other than the library, anything percolating?
Well, again, I've got the design plan, and we will need to schedule a variance hearing for that. Once I've looked at the plan, I'll get in touch with the designer about drafting a variance letter so that we can schedule that hearing.
Okay.
But it's as discussed. It's the it's kind of the butterfly Presby system that stays outside of the zone 1 of the existing well, and it's right up against that side property line. So there's some offset requests to the drain and to the property line that'll be needed.
There's one large tree that has to come down.
Yeah, that's noted on the plan, and the day we did that additional test hole, we were standing right next to it. It's a monster. Unfortunate, but necessary.
Yeah, but it's the ugliest of the 2 big trees there, so that's the silver lining.
There you go.
It can go.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what I've got.
All right. Do we have anything else, folks?
There's one thing I'd like to bring up. Donna went off and looked at, we got pricing for porta potties for the transfer station. currently we spend 168.07 a month for Pete's Porta Potty. And the new company that Donna came up with would charge us, what do we say here? $80 a unit, and that's the basic unit with a hand sanitizer. It includes weekly cleaning and restocking and delivery and pickup. If in the winter months, they would charge an additional $10. That's less than half of what we're paying now. So
Sure.
would you pass this by Pete and make sure that there's no other thing we've overlooked, why we can only stay with the company we're currently using? We're with the United Site Services, but they have been increasing their prices almost monthly. And I mean, unless there's a particular reason why we have to stay with them, I'd like to switch over because every little bit helps at this point.
Do we know where this new company is located?
This new company looks like Sutton. It's called Chase Harris Portable Toilets.
Chase Harris.
Yep.
The key would be finding out if they're a licensed Neshoba hauler, but that name does ring a bell, but I can certainly check into that.
Donna, if you're still on, could you talk to any of this? anymore?
Hang on, let me unmute her.
Okay.
Okay, Donna, you should be able to speak.
Hi. So I can give them a call or an email when I get in there Friday. So what exactly do you need me to do?
Well, actually, I can check, or you can call either one, my air office, just to make sure that they're an approved licensed septic hauler for 2020 with our office and air, because we issue the licenses for all of the haulers within our towns. So anyone that's supplying portable toilets is also hauling sewage and therefore has to be a licensed hauler. Name rings the bell, but again, we just need to make sure they're current for 2020.
Okay, so I just have to call the Neshoba Board of Health to get that?
If you call that air office number and go to extension 0, you can talk to Annette or Ginny and they can look that right up for you.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So thanks to Donna's hard work, we may be able to save some money.
Thank you, Donna.
That's good. You're welcome.
And that's all the extras I have at this minute. Things can change.
Oh, I have, I was looking at building permit applications and awaiting approval. And there was a deck on 146 Lyman Road that evidently you stopped, Bill. Does that ring a bell?
Doesn't ring a bell, but if they didn't show us where their septic components and well is, then I probably wouldn't have approved it. But I haven't seen anything recent on that.
Okay, I suspected it was that. I asked Richard Hanks, he thought the same thing, that we probably didn't receive any appropriate information from them.
I always comment if I reject something, I try to give as a detailed note as possible about what's lacking so that people know
Right.
what we're expecting.
Okay.
And they can certainly call me if they have questions.
Okay. Any other questions? Bobby, Sue, Bill?
No. Oh, the house on, down on Old Central Street burned down, Bill, that we were sending letters to upgrade. I think it was Russell, the Russell property.
It burned?
total-
The guy
Yes,
that
it-
smelled like an ashtray?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
yes.
it burned.
Yeah, it burned, and I think it's a total burn. I don't know what's going on down there now, but just
Well,
to put it in our,
I'll have to take a ride by. That's a good to know because that's one of those loose ends that we never really tied up that I am finding the time to start chasing some of these open files, and that was one of them. So if that place is burned, that might take it off our plate for a while.
correct, yeah,
Thanks for the heads up.
yeah.
Okay, I have nothing else.
I have nothing else.
I want to thank everybody, especially Leanne. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks, Leanne.
You're
Can I
welcome.
speak, Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
Transfer station's going good, Paul? You got signed, you got everything set up down there?
Yeah, we've ordered some signs for Board of Health purposes down there. Currently borrowing 2 from 19 Carter.
Yep.
I
Terrific.
believe we're going to be putting in a drop box, like a lock box on the outside of the building so that we can start charging residents for their bulky items again. So they don't have to go into the office. They just have to put a check in there, and, you know, Pete will have to deal with some things through a window or door.
Yeah.
Um,
Great.
I guess traffic's been very heavy. The last bill and the next one will probably show it because the open top was getting hauled basically twice a week. With everybody confined at home, there's been an awful lot of cleaning out. And I've been told that the guys at the transfer station have seen the same pickup truck come in 4 times on a Saturday, just unloading. So
No kidding. Yeah.
our disposal costs are probably going to be a little higher for a while.
Yeah. There was an agenda on properties. Was that just on our it said talk.
That's what we discussed first.
Oh.
All those.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yep, yes. Okay, I'm all set.
Yeah, at this point, there's no, obviously, no intent on opening up the take it or leave it.
Oh, yeah.
We're not getting serviced for batteries and electronic waste, so we've got those trailers closed. Styrofoam's going as trash. We're asking people to hold on to batteries for a while. You know,
Berlin Auto Parts may take the batteries if by appointment. You know,
Yeah,
I'm talking flashlight batteries.
oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Okay,
And they, Berlin Auto Parts, yeah, they got their hands slapped because they allowed a couple trucks in and they have not a good
Yeah.
relationship with a neighbor, so he got the
yeah, I heard a little about, but now he is appointment only as I take it, and he will unlock the gate and
No, okay. Well, that's
yeah, so.
all right. I guess we have nothing else today.
Yeah,
Do you
just,
have to read something on the bottom of your script, Paul?
Billy, did you have any?
just keep me posted once we arrive at a meeting scheduled date, because I will get those variance notices out.
Don't worry, Bill. I know how to find you.
Very true.
We're doing good. We're at 11:37. We're doing good at this meeting.
Not bad considering all that we covered.
Right.
All right, then we
Yeah,
should
there's
sign off.
nothing else on the script that I see, so.
If I can interrupt it, it's just that you do have to adjourn by a roll call vote.
Oh, thank you.
See, I knew there was something missing.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sue is an aye. Bobby is an
Aye.
aye.